Good evening. Welcome. Tonight, we will walk together along a path of quiet discovery and ancient wisdom. The Zen Buddhist way offers not complex answers, but a gentle invitation to release the questions themselves, to soften the grip of a mind that constantly searches for what is next. Before we begin our journey inward, feel free to share, if you wish, from which corner of the world you are breathing with us tonight, and what time your part of the world holds. This is a quiet recognition of our shared stillness, a silent global community resting together in this very moment, each of us under a different sky, but sharing the same breath. This journey is about exploring the art of deconstructing illusions. So much of our inner friction comes from holding on to expectations of how life should be, how we should be, and how others ought to act. These ideas, like tightly held fists, create tension not just in the mind, but deep within the body. Tonight, we are invited to gently pry those fingers open, one by one, allowing what we are clutching to fall away without effort. This is not about fighting our thoughts or forcing relaxation, but about creating the conditions for peace to arise naturally, just as a still pond reflects the moon without striving. This is a space for inner cultivation, a quiet garden to nourish your mind and reawaken your spirit. Here, you are welcome to simply be, to breathe, and to let these words guide you inward. You already possess everything you need for this journey. We are only here to remember the quiet wisdom that already resides within you. If these words resonate with the deep part of your being, know that you can return to this silent meeting whenever you need. Consider subscribing to keep this port of peace close, a gentle anchor in your digital sea. Now, take a slow, deep breath and arrive fully in the present moment. Settle into your space now, allowing your body to feel the full support of the surface beneath it. Let go of the day you have just lived, releasing its conversations, its duties, and its unresolved threads. Give yourself permission to do nothing more than rest here. Finally, bring a soft awareness to your breath, feeling the gentle rise and fall of your chest or belly. There is nowhere else to be, and nothing else to do. You are here, and that is more than enough. The journey has already begun with this simple, profound act of being still. The empty cup. Beginner's mind is everything. A learned professor, a man whose mind was a vast library of facts and theories, traveled a great distance to visit a renowned Zen master named Nan-in. He came not with an open heart, but with a full mind, eager to display his own extensive knowledge of spirituality and philosophy. Upon arriving at the small, humble temple, he was greeted by the master with a simple bow and invited in for tea. The air was still, filled only with the scent of old wood and the quiet promise of rain. The master listened patiently as the scholar spoke for a long time, sharing complex ideas and quoting ancient texts, his voice filling the small room with intellectual pride. The master, with a soft and knowing smile, began to pour tea into the professor's cup. He poured until the cup was full, and then he kept pouring. The hot tea overflowed, spilling onto the saucer and then onto the wooden table, a steaming puddle growing larger with each moment. The professor, alarmed and confused, could no longer contain himself. "Stop!" he exclaimed. "What are you doing? The cup is already full. It cannot hold any more." The master paused, his eyes calm and clear, meeting the scholar's gaze without judgment. He set the teapot down gently. "Like this cup," the master said softly, "you are full of your own opinions and speculations. How can I show you Zen unless you first empty your cup?" The professor fell silent, the steam from the spilled tea rising between them like a silent question. The room was suddenly vast, and his years of accumulated knowledge felt heavy, like a suit of armor he had forgotten how to remove. He looked at the overflowing cup, and for the first time, he saw not a mess, but a profound teaching. He saw the prison of his own certainty, the walls he had built with his own ideas. This story speaks to the Zen concept of Shoshin, which means beginner's mind. It is a mind that is open, eager, and free of preconceptions, just like the mind of a small child discovering the world for the first time. When we approach sleep with a full cup, overflowing with the day's worries, tomorrow's plans, and our fixed ideas about how things should be, there is no room for rest to enter. We lie in bed, our minds still debating, analyzing, and rehearsing. The body is tired, but the mind refuses to be still, endlessly pouring more thoughts into an already full vessel. The invitation for deep sleep is the invitation to empty your cup. It is the conscious act of setting down your knowledge, your opinions, your judgments, and your certainties before you lie down. It is to approach your pillow not as an expert on your own life, but as a humble beginner, open to the mystery of rest. You do not need to solve your problems before you sleep. You only need to create space. The emptiness is not a void to be feared, but a space of infinite potential where peace can finally pour in and fill you completely. As you lie here now, you can practice this. Imagine your mind is a teacup filled to the brim with the contents of your day. See the thoughts, the worries, the memories swirling within it. With each exhale, you can gently tip that cup, allowing its contents to pour out onto the soft earth. You are not destroying the thoughts, you are simply making space. Each breath out is a release, a letting go, an acknowledgement that you do not need to hold all of this right now. The act of emptying is an act of trust, a surrender to the stillness that waits beneath the noise. The great Zen teacher Shunryu Suzuki, or Suzuki Roshi as he was known, often spoke of this. He taught that in the beginner's mind there are many possibilities, but in the expert's mind there are few. The expert is trapped by what they know, while the beginner is free to discover what is new. Tonight, allow yourself to be a beginner in the art of sleeping. Forget everything you think you know about how to rest. Just be open, be empty, and be present with the simple sensation of your own being. This emptiness is not a lack, but a profound presence. It is the quiet field where true restoration can occur. When the cup is empty, it is ready to receive. As your mind becomes quieter and more spacious, it becomes a vessel for deep, restorative peace. The world can wait. Your plans can wait. Your identity as a person who knows things can be set aside for the night. You are simply here, a quiet presence breathing in the darkness, your cup becoming slowly, beautifully empty. The professor, in that moment of silence, finally understood. He picked up his cup, emptied the remaining tea onto the ground outside, and returned to the master with an open, ready vessel. He had traveled all that way, not to learn something new, but to unlearn what was old. In the same way, your bed is not a place to solve the world. It is a place to let the world be, just for a little while, so you can return to the quiet, empty space within. From this space of quiet receptivity, we can continue our journey. We have set down our need to know, our need to be right, and our need to be full. With an empty cup, we are light enough to travel further inward, to explore other burdens that we might be carrying without even realizing it. The path of letting go is a gentle one, a gradual unburdening. Now, as we move forward, let us look at the stories we carry with us, the histories that weigh on our shoulders long after they have ended. The heavy load. Carry only what is necessary. Two monks, Tanzan and Ikaido, were once traveling together down a muddy road during a season of heavy rain. The rain fell in sheets, turning the path into a thick, slippery river of earth that clung to their sandals with every step. As they approached a particularly swollen river crossing, they encountered a lovely young woman dressed in fine silk kimono and sash. She stood at the edge of the murky water, looking distressed, unable to cross without ruining her beautiful clothes. The water was rushing fast, and the distance to the other side seemed impassable for someone so delicately dressed. Without a moment's hesitation, Tanzan stepped forward, bowed slightly to the woman, and offered her a solution. "Come on," he said with a gentle smile. "I will carry you across." He lifted her in his arms, her silk robes rustling against his coarse monk's habit, and waded into the churning water. He carried her safely to the other side, set her down on the dry path, and bowed again. She thanked him profusely and hurried away towards the town. Tanzan and Ikaido then continued on their journey in silence, the rain still falling softly around them. Ikaido, however, was not silent inside. He was brooding, his mind churning like the river they had just crossed. As monks, they were strictly forbidden from touching women, especially one so young and beautiful. The image of Tanzan lifting her played over and over in his mind, a violation of their sacred vows. He stewed in his judgment, his steps becoming heavier with each mile they walked. The silence between them grew thick and tense, filled with unsaid words and moral indignation. Finally, unable to contain himself any longer, Ikaido stopped and turned to Tanzan. "We are monks!" he burst out, his voice sharp with frustration. "We do not go near females, especially not young and lovely ones. It is dangerous. It is against our rules." "Why did you do that? Why did you pick her up and carry her?" He looked at his companion, expecting shame or an apology, his breath coming short and fast from the pent-up anger he had been carrying for miles. Tanzan stopped walking and looked at Ikaido with genuine surprise and compassion. He shook his head slowly, his face relaxing into a peaceful smile. "Brother," he said softly, "I left that woman back at the riverbank hours ago. Are you still carrying her?" In that instant, the weight of Ikaido's burden became clear. He had been carrying the woman, the rule, the judgment, and the anger in his mind for miles, long after the event itself had passed. This story is a mirror for our own bedtime habits. How often do we lie in bed, physically safe and warm, yet mentally carrying the heavy loads of the day? We replay conversations, nurse old grievances, and dissect moments that are long gone. We carry the woman at the river in the form of a rude email, a perceived slight, or a mistake we made at work. The event is over, the river is miles behind us, yet our minds refuse to set the burden down. We are exhausted not just from the day, but from the extra weight we insist on dragging into our rest. The teaching here is profound, yet simple. The past is a heavy ghost that only exists because we keep feeding it with our attention. To sleep deeply, we must learn the art of setting things down. Just as Tanzan left the woman on the bank and walked on light and free, you too can choose to leave the day's events where they belong, in the past. You do not need to solve the past to be free of it. You only need to stop carrying it. Imagine now that you are standing at the edge of a beautiful flowing river. In your hands, you hold a heavy bag filled with the stones of today's worries and judgments. Feel the weight of it in your hands, pulling at your shoulders. Now visualize yourself gently lowering that bag to the ground. You do not throw it. You simply set it down. You watch as the river flows by, indifferent to the bag, washing away the tension. You turn away, your hands empty and light, ready to walk into the landscape of sleep. The Buddha often taught that holding on to anger or regret is like grasping a hot coal with the intent of throwing it at someone else. You are the one who gets burned. Tonight, choose to drop the coal. Choose to let your hands be cool and open. The mind that carries nothing is a mind that can float easily into dreams. There is no virtue in carrying a heavy load into the sanctuary of sleep. The greatest discipline is the discipline of letting go. As you breathe in now, invite a sense of lightness into your chest. As you breathe out, imagine any remaining heaviness draining out of your body, sinking into the mattress, neutralizing into the earth. You are Tanzan, walking free. The river is behind you. The road ahead is clear, quiet, and leads only to rest. You are free to just walk, free to just be, free to just sleep. Maybe so, maybe not. Who knows what is good? In a small village in ancient China, there lived an old farmer who owned a magnificent white horse. The horse was so beautiful that even the emperor offered a fortune to buy it. But the farmer always refused, saying, "This horse is not a possession to me, but a friend. How can I sell a friend?" The villagers thought he was foolish to turn down such riches, calling him an old fool. One morning, the stable door was found open, and the horse was gone. The villagers gathered, shaking their heads. "We told you, now you have nothing. What a curse this is." The farmer simply replied, "Maybe so, maybe not. Do not judge. Say only that the horse is gone. That is a fact. Whether it is a curse or a blessing, who knows?" A week later, the horse returned, but he was not alone. He brought with him 12 wild horses, strong and spirited. The villagers gathered again, amazed. "You were right, old man. This was not a curse, but a great blessing. Now you are rich." The farmer looked at them calmly and said again, "Maybe so, maybe not. Do not judge. Say only that the horse has returned with others. Whether it is a blessing or a curse, only time will tell." We see only a fragment of the whole story. The farmer's son began to train the wild horses. One day, while trying to tame a particularly wild stallion, he was thrown off and broke his leg badly. The villagers came to visit, clucking their tongues in sympathy. "Oh, what a tragedy! Your only son is crippled and cannot help you farm. Now you will starve. What a curse this is!" The farmer sat quietly and said, "Maybe so, maybe not. Do not judge. Say only that my son has broken his leg. Whether it is bad or good, who can say? Life comes in fragments." A few weeks later, the country went to war, and the army came to the village to draft every able-bodied young man. They took all the sons of the villagers, marching them off to a battle from which few would return. But they looked at the farmer's son with his broken leg and left him behind. The villagers cried and wailed for their lost sons, coming to the farmer and saying, "You were right. Your son's accident was a blessing. Our sons are gone, but yours is still here." The farmer simply smiled and said, "Maybe so, maybe not." This story, often told by the philosopher Alan Watts, illustrates the futility of judging the events of our lives as strictly good or bad. We create so much anxiety by trying to interpret every occurrence, trying to figure out if today was a success or a failure, a victory or a defeat. We toss and turn in bed, replaying scenarios, terrified that a certain event will lead to ruin, or desperately hoping another will lead to happiness. But like the farmer shows, we never have the full picture. When we release the need to label our experiences, we release an enormous amount of tension. We stop fighting against reality and start flowing with it. The mind that says, maybe so, maybe not, is a mind that is flexible, resilient, and at peace. It understands that what looks like a disaster today might be the seed of a miracle tomorrow, and what looks like a triumph might bring its own challenges. This perspective allows us to rest in the mystery of life, rather than trying to control it. Tonight, look at the events of your day that you have been judging. The meeting that went wrong, the train you missed, the awkward silence. Can you apply the farmer's wisdom? Can you look at these things and simply say, it happened? Without the label of bad, the event loses its power to keep you awake. It becomes just another thread in the vast, complex tapestry of your life, a tapestry whose final pattern you cannot yet see. Trusting the flow of life means accepting that we do not know the end of the story. It means understanding that nature has its own intelligence, its own timing, and its own reasons. Just as the farmer trusted the unfolding of events without resistance, you can trust your life to unfold exactly as it needs to. You can resign as the general manager of the universe for tonight. You do not need to figure it all out. You only need to sleep. Embrace the uncertainty. It is not a threat, but a promise that anything is possible. When we stop narrowing our world with judgments, we open ourselves to the vastness of existence. In that vastness, there is plenty of room to rest. Let the maybes drift away like clouds. Let the should-haves dissolve into the night air. Remain with what is simple and true. Your breath, your body, the safety of this bed. As you drift deeper, let the mantra, maybe so, maybe not, soothe your analytical mind. Let it be a lullaby that quiets the need for answers. You are safe in the not knowing. You are held by a universe that is far wiser than your worrying mind. Rest now in the humble, peaceful wisdom of the farmer, watching the world change, accepting it all, and sleeping soundly through the night. The already broken cup, peace through impermanence. In the deep forests of Thailand, the revered teacher Ajahn Chah once held up a beautiful Chinese teacup before a gathering of students. It was a delicate thing, painted with fine blue lines, glowing softly in the lantern light. To me, he said, this cup is already broken. The students looked confused. The cup was clearly whole, perfect, and capable of holding tea. He continued, I enjoy this cup. I drink from it. It holds my water and my tea admirably. But because I know that its nature is to break, I am not disappointed when it finally cracks. In my mind, the breakage has already happened. This teaching turns our usual relationship with loss and change completely upside down. We spend so much of our energy trying to protect the things we love, our possessions, our relationships, our status, our health, terrified that they might change or disappear. We live in a state of subtle, constant contraction, bracing ourselves against the inevitable flow of time. This resistance creates a deep, humming anxiety that we often carry into our sleep, a fear that the world we close our eyes to might not be the same when we wake up. But Ajahn Chah invites us to relax into the truth of impermanence, rather than fight it. By accepting that everything constructed must eventually come apart, we are not being pessimistic, we are being liberated. If the cup is already broken, then every moment it remains whole is a gift to be cherished, not a possession to be guarded. We can hold it lightly, enjoy its beauty fully, and when it slips from our hands, we can say, "Ah, of course," instead of "How terrible." The tragedy dissolves into understanding. This wisdom applies profoundly to our own bodies and minds as we prepare for sleep. We often cling to our self-image, our youth, or our strength, fearing the natural fluctuations of energy and health. We worry about tomorrow's performance or yesterday's fading memory. But what if we could accept that this body, this day, this moment, is fleeting by nature? When we stop demanding that things remain static, we can finally rest in the flow of how they actually are. Think of the day that has just passed. It is gone, broken, dissolved into the past. You cannot hold it together any longer. Many people lie awake trying to glue the pieces of the day back together, replaying conversations, wishing they had done differently. But the day is the cup that has already broken. It is finished. To see it as such is to release yourself from the burden of fixing it. You can sweep the shards away with a breath of gratitude and settle into the clear space that remains. Impermanence is often seen as a sad truth, but in the Buddhist tradition, it is the gateway to peace. Because everything changes, nothing can trap you forever. Your fatigue is impermanent. Your anxiety is impermanent. The racing thoughts in your mind are impermanent. They arise, they stay for a while, and they pass away. You do not need to push them out. You only need to wait, knowing their nature is to fade. You are the sky that remains behind the passing clouds. Let us practice this perspective now. Visualize the worries that are currently occupying your mind. See them not as solid rocks, but as mist, constantly changing shape, dissolving at the edges. They are not fixed truths. They are temporary weather patterns moving through your awareness. By seeing them as already broken, already in the process of passing, you take away their power to rigidify your body and disturb your rest. True relaxation comes when we stop holding up the walls of our lives. We can put down the heavy tools of maintenance and defense. We can trust that even if things change while we sleep, we have the resilience to meet whatever arises. We do not need to keep watch. The universe has been managing the rising and falling of things for eons without our supervision. We are free to let go of the controls. Ajahn Chah's teaching is an invitation to a fearless intimacy with the present. If the cup is already broken, then this moment of drinking tea, or this moment of lying in bed, is infinitely precious. It is happening right now, unique and unrepeatable. Savor the sensation of the sheets against your skin. Savor the cool air in your lungs. Savor the safety of this room. It is all here, right now, for you to enjoy before it transforms into something else. So, as you close your eyes, whisper to yourself, "It is all impermanent, and that is okay." Feel the relief in those words. You don't have to freeze time. You don't have to preserve this moment. You can let it flow through you, carrying you gently into the river of dreams. Everything is safe in the arms of change. Sleep now, in the peace of a world that flows. The finger and the moon. Look beyond the words. One evening, a novice monk approached the Buddha, asking for clarification on a complex sutra. The Buddha, sitting beneath the Bodhi tree with the moonlight filtering through the leaves, pointed a finger toward the glowing moon in the sky. "Monk," he said gently, "my finger points to the moon, but my finger is not the moon. To see the moon, you must look past the finger, out into the vastness of the sky. If you stare only at my finger, or if you mistake my finger for the moon itself, you will miss the glory of the heavenly light entirely." si. This famous analogy is one of the most critical teachings in Zen. It distinguishes between the symbols we use to describe reality and reality itself. We live in a world of fingers, words, concepts, labels, schedules, bank account numbers, job titles. We spend our days obsessed with these pointers, analyzing them, polishing them, worrying about them. We often forget that they are merely signs pointing to a living, breathing experience of life that is happening just beyond them. At night, this confusion creates havoc in our minds. We lie in bed thinking about the word deadline, the word debt, or the word failure. We react to these mental labels as if they were physical threats in the room with us. Our hearts race and our muscles tighten. Not because of what is actually happening in the present moment, which is usually just a warm body in a soft bed, but because of the terrifying stories our thoughts are telling us. We are staring at the finger and forgetting the moon. The moon, in this metaphor, is the direct experience of the here and now. It is the silent, luminous reality that exists before we name it. It is the sensation of breath, the feeling of weight, the sound of the wind outside, the pure awareness of being alive. This reality is usually peaceful, neutral, and manageable. It is only when we overlay it with our complex mental maps that suffering begins. Sleep is a return to the moon, a return to the direct experience of being, leaving the world of descriptions behind. Tonight, you are invited to stop reading the menu and finally eat the meal. Stop looking at the map and walk the territory. When a thought arises, perhaps a worry about tomorrow, recognize it as just a finger pointing at a future possibility. It is not the future itself. It is just a thought, a firing of neurons, a flicker of mental energy. You can acknowledge the pointer without getting staring at it. You can look past it to the silence that surrounds it. The Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh often taught that we must break through our concepts to touch life deeply. He urged us to see that the word flower is not the flower. The word does not have fragrance or color or life. Similarly, the thought "I am tired" is not the actual experience of rest. To truly rest, we must drop the label "tired" and simply sink into the physical sensation of heaviness and release. We must abandon the language of sleep and enter the experience of sleep. Imagine your thoughts as signposts on a highway. As you drive past them, you read work, family, health, money. You see the signs, but you do not stop the car and climb up the pole to live on the sign. You keep driving. You let the signs pass by in your peripheral vision while you focus on the road itself, the smooth, dark road of your breath, leading you into the night. The signs are there, but they are not the destination. This practice of distinguishing the map from the territory is a powerful tool for deconstructing anxiety. Fear often lives in the abstract. It thrives on what-ifs and catastrophic predictions. But the present moment is rarely scary. Right now, in this second, you are safe. The air is entering your lungs, the heart is beating, the body is resting. This is the moon. Everything else, every scary scenario your mind invents, is just a trembling finger. Look away from the finger. Look at the moon. As you lie here, practice looking at the moon of your own awareness. Feel the silence that holds this room. It is real. It is vast. It is not a concept. It is an experience. Let your attention widen beyond the narrow focus of your thinking mind. Expand your awareness to include the sounds of the night, the space between the stars, the infinite quiet that underpins all noise. This vastness is where sleep lives. Let the words fade away now. Even these words I am speaking are just fingers pointing you toward your own silence. Do not hold on to them. Let them go. Look where they are pointing, toward the deep, dark, velvety peace that is waiting inside you. The moon is shining. The sky is open. You are free to float in the light of pure presence, beyond all names and forms. The stonecutter. Return to who you are. Once, there was a stonecutter who was dissatisfied with himself and with his position in life. He spent his days in the hot sun, chipping away at hard rock, his back bent and his hands calloused. One day, he passed the house of a wealthy merchant. Through the open gates, he saw fine possessions, important visitors, and a life of ease. Envious, he wished he could be a merchant. To his great surprise, his wish was granted. He became a merchant, enjoying luxuries and power, looked up to by everyone. But soon he saw a high official pass by, carried in a sedan chair, accompanied by attendants and soldiers beating gongs. Everyone, no matter how wealthy, had to bow before him. I wish I could be a high official, he thought. And he became one, feared and respected by all. Yet, even as a high official, he found himself sweltering in the fierce heat of the summer sun. He looked up at the sky and saw the sun shining proudly, unaffected by anyone's power. "The sun is the most powerful," he cried. "I wish to be the sun." And he became the sun, shining fiercely down on the earth, scorching the fields, cursed by the farmers. But then, a huge black cloud moved between him and the earth, blocking his light. "The cloud is stronger than the sun," he thought. "I wish to be a cloud." And so he became a cloud, flooding the fields and villages, powerful and unstoppable. But soon he found he was being pushed by a great force, the wind. "The wind is stronger. I wish to be the wind." He became the wind, blowing tiles off roofs and uprooting trees. But then he ran up against something that would not move, no matter how hard he blew, a huge, towering rock. "The rock is stronger than the wind. I wish to be a rock." He became the rock, immovable and ancient, stronger than anything on earth. He felt powerful and content at last. But then he heard a sound. Chink, chink, chink. He felt himself being changed. Down at his base, there was a stonecutter, chipping pieces of him away. This ancient fable is a profound meditation on the illusion that happiness lies somewhere else, in being someone else. We lie in bed at night, often plagued by a subtle sense of insufficiency. We replay the lives of others we see on screens, wishing we had their success, their relationships, or their perceived peace. We exhaust ourselves with the thought, "If only I were different, then I could rest." This endless cycle of comparison is a thief of sleep, keeping the mind in a state of hungry agitation. The stonecutter traveled the entire circle of existence only to discover that his original form held a power that even the mountain could not withstand. The teaching here is one of radical self-acceptance. You do not need to become the sun, the cloud, or the mountain to find peace. You do not need to be more than you are right now to deserve rest. The you that is lying in this bed, with all your perceived limitations and ordinary struggles, is already complete. This story invites us to deconstruct the illusion that the grass is greener elsewhere. Every state of being has its own burdens. The sun burns, the cloud is blown, the rock is chipped. There is no magical position in life where difficulties vanish. Understanding this allows us to stop running. It allows us to settle into our own lives, our own bodies, exactly as they are. there is a deep relaxation that comes from abandoning the wish to be someone else. Tonight, invite the spirit of the stonecutter back home. Call back all the parts of yourself that have been wandering in fantasies of better lives. Gather your energy back into your own center. You are the only person you need to be. Your breath is the only breath you need to take. Your life, simple and human, is the only vehicle you need for this journey into sleep. As you sink into the mattress, feel the solidity of your own existence. You are here. You are real. You are enough. Let go of the high official, the merchant, and the sun. Let go of the need for power or recognition. Embrace the humble, quiet strength of just being yourself. Like the stone, you can rest in your own nature, heavy and grounded. The Taoist sage Lao Tzu taught that he who is contented is rich. Tonight, be rich in your own existence. Be wealthy in the simple fact that you have a safe place to sleep and a heart that beats for you. The chase is over. The circle is closed. You have arrived back at the starting point, which was the perfect place all along. Rest now in the certainty of your own being. There is no need to transform. There is no need to ascend. There is only the need to soften, to accept, and to sleep. You are home. The moon cannot be stolen. True wealth is within. Ryokan, a Zen master known for his simplicity and gentle spirit, lived the most humble of lives in a small hut at the foot of a mountain. He possessed almost nothing, no furniture, no money, only a few simple robes and a begging bowl. One evening, a thief broke into his hut only to discover there was absolutely nothing to steal. Ryokan returned and caught him. The thief stood frozen, ashamed and empty-handed, realizing he had broken into the home of a pauper. Ryokan, seeing the disappointment and fear in the thief's eyes, did not get angry. Instead, he smiled warmly. "You have come a long way to visit me," he said softly, "and you should not return empty-handed. Please, take my clothes as a gift." And he proceeded to strip off his only robe and offer it to the bewildered intruder. The thief, confused but grateful, grabbed the clothes and fled into the night. Ryokan sat naked, watching the thief disappear. He then sat by his window, looking out at the night sky. The full moon was shining brilliantly, bathing the entire mountain in a pool of silver light. It was breathtakingly beautiful. Ryokan sighed with deep contentment and wrote a haiku. The thief left it behind, the moon at my window. This beautiful story pierces the heart of our anxieties about loss and security. We spend so much of our waking life and our sleepless nights worrying about what can be taken from us. We worry about losing our money, our jobs, our reputation, our comfort. We build walls, both physical and mental, to protect our stuff. This defensive posture keeps our nervous system on high alert, making deep sleep impossible. We are like guards patrolling a fortress, unable to close our eyes. But Ryokan points us to a different truth. The most valuable things in life cannot be stolen. No thief can take the moonlight. No economic crash can take your ability to breathe. No one can rob you of the present moment or the inner capacity to feel peace. When we realize that our true treasure is untouchable, the need for defense melts away. We can finally lower the drawbridge and rest. Imagine for a moment that you are Ryokan. You have given everything away. You have nothing left to protect, nothing left to lose. Feel the incredible lightness of that state. There is no fear of robbery because your hands are already open. In this openness, you are not poor, You are infinitely rich with the things that actually matter: the silence of the night, the beauty of the moon, the peace of your own heart. Sleep requires a kind of poverty. We must be willing to strip ourselves of our roles, our titles, and our possessions for the night. We cannot take our bank accounts into our dreams. We cannot take our social standing into deep sleep. We must enter the realm of rest naked and simple, just as we are. The more we cling to our external identity, the harder it is to cross the threshold into slumber. Tonight, practice the art of having nothing. Mentally offer up your worries to the night. Give away your need for control. Let the thief of sleep take your busy thoughts. They are of no value to you now. What remains is the moon at your window, the pure, silent awareness that is always with you. Look at the moon in your own mind's eye. It is the symbol of your original nature, bright, round, and complete. It shines on the good and the bad alike, without judgment. It is always there, even when clouds of thought obscure it. Connect with that inner light. It is yours, it is you, and it is safe. As you drift off, remember Ryokan's smile. Remember that you can afford to be generous with the world, because your true wealth is inside. Let the world have its noise and its striving. You have the moon. You have this breath. You have this peace, and that is everything. The flowing river. You are not solid. Imagine standing on the bank of a wide, serene river. The water moves continuously, never stopping for a single instant. If you were to step into the water now and then step in again tomorrow, you would not be stepping into the same river. The water has moved on. New water has arrived. The shape of the banks has shifted infinitesimally with the current. The light reflecting on the surface is different. This was the insight of the ancient philosopher Heraclitus, but it is also a core realization in Buddhism. Everything flows, nothing is fixed, including you. We suffer greatly because we imagine ourselves to be statues, solid, unchanging entities that must defend their shape against the world. We say, I am this kind of person, or I am not good at sleeping, or I am anxious. We create a rigid identity and then exhaust ourselves trying to maintain it. But the truth is, you are much more like the river than the statue. You are a process, a flow of sensations, thoughts, and breaths that is constantly renewing itself. When we lie in bed unable to sleep, it is often because the statue is trying to control the night. The rigid self says, I must sleep now to be functional tomorrow. This demand creates a dam in the river, blocking the natural flow. The water builds up, pressure rises, and peace becomes impossible. But if you can remember that you are a flowing process, you can simply drift. You don't have to force the river to reach the ocean. Gravity does the work for you. Consider the cells in your body. They are dying and being born by the millions every minute. The breath you just took is gone, replaced by a new one. The thought you had 5 seconds ago has dissolved. You are a dynamic, living event, not a static object. This realization is incredibly relaxing. It means you don't have to hold yourself together. You can let go and let the current of life carry you. Deep sleep requires a softening of the I. It asks us to dissolve our boundaries and merge with the night. If you are a solid rock, you will sink and struggle. If you are water, you will float and flow. Tonight, practice becoming liquid. Feel your body losing its rigid edges. Where does your skin end and the air begin? Where does the bed end and your back begin? Let the lines blur. The Buddha taught that the self is not a fixed soul, but a stream of consciousness. When we see ourselves as a stream, we stop getting snagged on the rocks of worry. If a worry arises, the water flows around it. It doesn't fight the rock, it simply moves past it. Be like water tonight. Accommodate the obstacles without resistance. Let the thoughts be there, but flow around them, deeper and deeper towards the ocean of sleep. Resistance is what makes things painful. When water meets a blockage, it doesn't get angry. It finds the path of least resistance. Your body knows this path instinctively. It knows how to sleep. It is only the rigid mind that interferes. Trust your natural intelligence. Trust the flow. You have been sleeping since the day you were born. Your river knows the way to the sea. As you exhale, imagine you are releasing the dam. Let the waters of your awareness flow freely. There is no need to steer. There is no need to paddle. The current of exhaustion is natural and sweet. Surrender to it. Let it take you where you need to go. You are safe in the movement of life. This fluidity applies to your emotions as well. If you feel a wave of anxiety, let it be a wave. Don't freeze it into an iceberg by fighting it. Watch it rise, crest, and fall back into the water. You are the ocean that contains all the waves. You are vast enough to hold it all without breaking. Rest now in this fluid nature. You are not a fixed point in the universe, but a beautiful, drifting movement of energy. Nothing to defend, nothing to prove. Just flowing, softer and softer, until the river meets the sea and you dissolve into the great silence of sleep. The unopened gift. Refuse what harms you. One day, the Buddha was walking through a village where a young man, furious with the Buddha's teachings, began to insult him. The man shouted harsh words, called him a fake, and tried to provoke him into an argument. The Buddha listened silently, his face calm and compassionate. He did not react. He did not defend himself. He simply stood there, steady as a tree in a storm, while the man poured out his anger until he was exhausted and out of breath. When the silence finally returned, the Buddha looked at the young man and asked a simple question. Tell me, if you buy a gift for someone, and that person does not accept it, to whom does the gift belong? The young man was surprised by the question but answered, It would belong to me because I bought it. The Buddha smiled gently and said, Exactly, that is correct. And it is the same with your anger. If you become angry with me and I do not get insulted, then the anger falls back on you. You are then the only one who becomes unhappy, not me. All you have done is hurt yourself. This story holds a powerful key for our peace of mind, especially at night when we are often replaying conflicts. We tend to accept every gift of negativity that is offered to us. If someone is rude, we take it. If the world is chaotic, we take it inside. We let the anger of others become our own anger, their stress become our stress. We open every package, even the ones filled with poison. The Buddha teaches us the art of refusal. You have the sovereign right not to accept what doesn't serve your peace. Just because someone offers you chaos doesn't mean you have to sign for the delivery. You can leave the package on the doorstep. You can look at the insult or the stressful situation and say, No, thank you. I will not carry this. This is not about suppression or denial. It is about boundaries. It is recognizing that your inner space is a sanctuary. You are the guardian of that sanctuary. Why would you let muddy boots walk all over your clean floor? Why would you bring the trash of the world into your bedroom? You have the power to close the door. Often, we lie awake defending ourselves against imaginary arguments. We write mental emails, rehearse comebacks, and vindicate our character to an invisible jury. This is us accepting the gift of conflict. We are holding the hot coal. Tonight, realize that you don't have to prove anything to anyone. You don't have to win the argument in your head. You can just choose not to participate. Silence is often the strongest response. When you refuse to engage with negativity, it loses its momentum. It has nowhere to land. The young man's anger in the story ran out of fuel because the Buddha didn't feed it with reaction. Starve your worries tonight. Don't feed them with your attention. Let them shout themselves out while you remain safe in your calm refusal. Think of the things bothering you right now as packages sitting in a hallway outside your room. You can see them, but you don't have to bring them in. Leave them there. They belong to the world, or to others, or to tomorrow. They do not belong to you in this moment of rest. You are free to walk away from the door and lie down. By refusing to accept the anger or stress, you are actually showing compassion to yourself. You are protecting your own heart. The Buddha said, holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. Spit out the poison. Wash your mouth with the cool water of forgiveness, not necessarily forgiving the person, but forgiving yourself for carrying the burden. Rest now in the dignity of the Buddha's silence. You are untouchable when you choose not to grasp. You are whole. Let the world keep its gifts of noise. You choose the gift of silence. You choose the gift of sleep. It is the only gift worth opening tonight. Banzo's sword. Patience is the fastest way. A young man named Matajuro journeyed to a remote mountain to find the famous swordmaster Banzo. He was ambitious and eager, his heart burning with the desire to become the greatest swordsman in the land. When he finally found the master's simple hut, he bowed low and asked, "Master, if I work hard, how long will it take me to become a master swordsman?" Banzo looked at him calmly and replied, "Perhaps 10 years." Matajuro was disappointed. 10 years seemed like an eternity. He pressed on, "But father, I will work twice as hard. I will practice day and night. I will not rest. If I do that, how long will it take?" Banzo stroked his beard and said thoughtfully, "In that case, 30 years. Matajuro was shocked. 30 years? Why so long? I just promised to work harder." He pleaded, "Master, I will endure anything. I will practice every waking moment. I will devote my entire life to this. How long then?" Banzo smiled gently and said, 70 years. A man in such a hurry as you has no time to learn." Matajuro finally understood. His impatience, his desperate grasping for the result, was the very obstacle standing in his way. This paradox of effort is perfectly mirrored in our struggle with sleep. We lie in bed and think, "I'm asleep now. If I don't sleep in 10 minutes, I will be tired tomorrow." We try harder. We adjust the pillow. We force our breathing. We check the clock. We treat sleep as a task to be achieved, a sword to be mastered. But the harder we try to sleep, the further away it recedes. Like Matajuro, our urgency pushes the goal 70 years away. Banzo's wisdom teaches us that true mastery and true rest cannot be forced. Sleep is not something you do. It is something that happens to you when you stop doing. You cannot pull the night towards you. You can only wait for it to arrive. The anxiety of trying to sleep is a form of noise. It keeps the mind active, alert, and vigilant, which is the exact opposite of the surrender required for slumber. The fastest way to sleep is to stop trying to sleep. It is to lie there with the attitude of, "I don't mind if I stay awake." When you give up the fight, the tension in your body dissolves. When you stop checking the clock, time expands. When you accept the present moment as it is, even if that moment is wakefulness, you create the conditions for rest to enter. You are no longer a soldier on a mission. You are a field waiting for rain. Imagine yourself as Matajuro, finally dropping his sword. He realizes that the harder he grips the hilt, the stiffer his arm becomes. To move with speed and grace, he must be loose, relaxed, and empty of ambition. Tonight, drop your sword. Stop fighting the battle of insomnia. Stop counting the hours. Let your grip on the night soften until your hands are completely open. There is a profound trust in patience. It is the belief that the body knows how to regulate itself, that the mind knows how to wind down, and that nature will take its course without your interference. The grass grows by itself. You do not need to pull it up to make it grow faster. Sleep comes by itself. You do not need to drag it down. The great Taoist teaching of Wu Wei, or effortless action, applies here. It is the art of achieving without forcing. It is sailing instead of rowing. Tonight, raise your sails and wait for the wind. It may come in a minute, or it may come in an hour, but your job is only to keep the sails open and the boat steady. The wind of sleep is not under your command, but it is always faithful. Let go of the timeline. Let go of the calculation of hours. 10 years, 30 years, 70 years. It doesn't matter. You are here now. The bed is soft. The room is safe. Whether you sleep in 5 minutes or 50, you are resting your body. You are safe. There is no deadline for peace. As you breathe deeply, tell yourself, I am in no hurry. Feel the relief in those words. The pressure lifts off your chest. The urgency drains from your legs. You have all the time in the world. By letting go of the destination, you have already arrived at the place of rest, the tigers and the strawberry. Sweetness in the now. There is an old Zen story about a man traveling across a field who encountered a tiger. He fled, the tiger chasing after him. Coming to a precipice, he caught hold of the root of a wild vine and swung himself down over the edge. The tiger sniffed at him from above. Trembling, the man looked down to see another tiger waiting far below, looking up at him hungrily. Only the vine sustained him. 2 mice, one white and one black, started little by little to gnaw at the vine. The man saw a luscious strawberry near him. Grasping the vine with one hand, he plucked the strawberry with the other. How sweet it tasted. This story is often shocking to the Western mind. We think, how can he enjoy a strawberry when he is about to die? But this is precisely the point. The tigers are always there. The tigers of the past, regret, and the tigers of the future, fear, are the constant companions of the human condition. And the mice, day and night, black and white, are constantly gnawing away at our time. If we wait for the tigers to leave before we allow ourselves to enjoy the sweetness of life, we will never taste it. In the context of sleep, the tigers are your worries. The tiger above is the stress of the workday you just finished. The tiger below is the anxiety about the meeting you have tomorrow. The mice are the ticking clock, the passing of time that makes you feel like you are losing precious sleep. We hang there, suspended in tension, terrified of what might happen. But right there, in the midst of this precarious situation, is a strawberry. It is the comfort of your pillow. It is the warmth of your blanket. It is the cool side of the sheet. It is the simple pleasure of taking a deep breath. This strawberry is available to you right now, regardless of the tigers. It is the pure sensory experience of the present moment, which is always sweet if we actually taste it. Zen teaches us that the past and future are illusions. Only this moment is real. The tiger above cannot hurt you now. It is a memory, The tiger below cannot hurt you now. It is a fantasy. The only reality is the vine, the hand, and the strawberry. When you focus entirely on the sensation of the now, fear vanishes. You cannot be terrified and fully present at the same time. Tonight, find your strawberry. Maybe it is the sound of rain outside or the hum of a fan. Maybe it is the feeling of your muscles relaxing after a long day. Turn your full attention to that pleasant sensation. Let it fill your awareness. Savor it. Delight in it. Let the sweetness of this micro-moment expand until it pushes the tigers out of the frame. Pema Chodron writes beautifully about this radical presence. She reminds us that we can find a soft spot, even in the middle of difficulty. We can choose to focus on what is good, what is working, what is nurturing us right now. We don't deny the tigers, but we don't give them our power. We give our power to the strawberry. This practice shifts your nervous system from fight or flight to rest and digest. When you savor a pleasant sensation, your brain receives a signal of safety. It understands that if you have time to enjoy a strawberry, the danger cannot be immediate. Your heart rate slows down. Your breathing deepens. The vine holds. You are hanging in the void of the night, suspended between yesterday and tomorrow. Do not look up. Do not look down. Look right here. Taste the silence. Taste the stillness. It is incredibly sweet. It is the taste of your own life, unburdened by time. Eat the strawberry of this breath, then the next, and the next. Each breath is a small, perfect moment of life. You are alive. You are safe. The tigers are just shadows. The sweetness is real. Let that sweetness melt on your tongue as you drift into a sleep that is deep, fearless, and satisfied, leaving the raft behind, gratitude and release. The Buddha famously shared the parable of the raft to illustrate the importance of letting go. A man is traveling and encounters a vast, dangerous river with no bridge to cross it. He gathers grass, sticks, and branches, fashioning a sturdy raft to carry him to safety. With great effort, paddling with his hands and feet, he navigates the treacherous currents and finally reaches the other shore. Standing on dry land, he thinks, "This raft has been so useful. It saved my life. I should carry it on my head as I continue my journey." The Buddha asked his monks if this would be wise. They replied, "No, Lord." The Buddha nodded, explaining that the raft is for crossing over, not for holding on to. The man must leave it behind to walk freely. This teaching is a powerful metaphor for how we approach our nightly transition into sleep. Throughout the day, we construct mental rafts to navigate the complex river of our lives. We use our analytical skills to solve problems, our defenses to protect our emotions, and our vigilance to ensure safety. These tools are essential for survival in the waking world. They help us manage our jobs, our relationships, and our daily challenges. We should feel a deep sense of gratitude for these abilities, for they have carried us safely through the turbulence of the day. However, the trouble begins when we refuse to leave these tools at the riverbank of the evening. We often lie in our beds, physically safe on dry land, yet mentally still clinging to the heavy raft of the day's mindset. We continue to plan, to analyze, and to defend, even though the river has already been crossed. We carry the weight of our doing mode into the sanctuary of our being mode, wondering why we feel so burdened and unable to relax. The very tools that were our salvation during the active hours become the heavy obstacles that crush our peace at night. Sleep requires us to put down the raft, to release the strategies that are no longer needed in this moment of safety, to tonight is an invitation to practice the wisdom of putting the raft down. You can gently acknowledge your thinking mind and say, "Thank you for your service today. You did your job well, but now I am safe and I do not need you to carry me anymore." You are not rejecting your mind, you are simply relieving it of its duty. Imagine the relief of unstrapping that heavy wooden structure from your back and watching it rest quietly on the shore. You are free to walk into the landscape of dreams unencumbered, light, and empty-handed. True rest demands a state of defenselessness and openness that is impossible if we are still gripping the raft. You cannot float in the soft waters of sleep while trying to steer a rigid boat. The land of slumber is a place where gravity does the work, where no effort or strategy is required. To enter this realm, you must trust that you are safe enough to let go of control. You must trust that the ground will hold you without your constant supervision or management. As you breathe deeply now, visualize the act of release. Feel the weight of your responsibilities sliding off your shoulders and thudding gently onto the sand. Feel your spine lengthen and your chest expand as the burden is removed. You are no longer the manager, the parent, or the problem solver. You are simply a breathing being, existing in the pure simplicity of the present moment. The day is done, the river is crossed, you have arrived. Even the teachings themselves, even the desire for a good sleep, can become a raft that we cling to too tightly. If you are trying hard to relax, that effort is just another raft. Put it down. Abandon the need to do this perfectly. Abandon the technique. Just let yourself be here, exactly as you are, without needing to get anywhere or achieve anything. The ultimate wisdom is to have nothing to carry. Walk freely now into the quiet night. Your hands are open. Your mind is unburdened. The path ahead is soft and clear. You have left the churning waters behind, and the silence of the shore welcomes you. There is nothing left to do but to lie down in the tall, soft grass of sleep and let the earth cradle you. You are free. The muddy road. Acceptance of imperfection. There is a Zen story about a young woman traveling to a temple in her finest, most beautiful kimono. It had been raining heavily, and the road was thick with deep, dark mud. She stood at the edge of a large puddle, paralyzed by the fear of ruining her pristine clothes. She tried to tiptoe around the edges, hopping on stones, growing more and more anxious with every step, terrified of a single splash. A Zen master, seeing her distress, walked straight through the center of the mud, his robes getting splashed and dirty. He turned to her and said simply, "The mud is part of the road. If you fight the mud, you will never reach the temple." We often approach sleep with the same fastidious anxiety as the young woman approaching the mud. We have an idealized image of what our sleep should look like: clean, unbroken, instant, and perfect. We want a pristine night, and the moment we encounter a puddle, a stray worry, a noise outside, or a moment of wakefulness, we freeze. We start to judge ourselves and panic, thinking, "My sleep is ruined, I am doing this wrong." We tiptoe around our own minds, terrified of getting dirty with a little bit of restlessness. But the Master's wisdom cuts through this perfectionism. The mud is an intrinsic part of the road. A real human night of sleep often includes fluctuations. It includes dreams, shifts in position, and moments of conscious thought. This is not a failure of your practice. It is simply the texture of being alive. When we demand that our sleep be perfect, we create a rigid tension that actually pushes rest away. When we accept the mud, we can relax and keep moving forward. If you find yourself awake or your mind busy, try not to stand at the edge of the puddle wringing your hands. Instead, say to yourself, "This too is part of the rest." The mud doesn't stop the journey unless you refuse to walk through it. You can rest even while your mind is thinking. You can rejuvenate your body even if you are not perfectly unconscious. The anxiety about the mud is far more exhausting than the mud itself. The desire for purity is a trap that keeps us vigilant and tight. It makes us monitor our sleep instead of surrendering to it. "I shouldn't be thinking about work," we scold ourselves. "I should be asleep by now." These shoulds are the high walls we build that keep us from the temple of rest. The Zen way is to walk straight through, accepting the splashes with a shrug. "Okay, I am thinking. That is fine. Okay, I am awake. That is fine." When you stop fighting the imperfections of your experience, a profound shift occurs. You soften. The resistance drains out of your muscles, and often, in that very moment of acceptance, sleep arrives naturally. By giving yourself permission to have a messy sleep, you take the pressure off your nervous system. You stop performing for an invisible audience and start actually resting in the reality of the moment. Imagine yourself walking down that muddy road now, but without fear. You feel the squelch of the earth, grounding and cool. You are not worried about keeping your mental clothes clean. You are just moving forward step by step towards the sanctuary. The destination is rest, and you are getting closer with every breath, regardless of the conditions of the road. Remember that the lotus flower, the symbol of enlightenment and peace, blooms only from the mud. It roots itself in the muck to rise into the light. Without the mud of your daily life, the stress, the noise, the confusion, there would be no need for the beautiful opening of sleep. Your tiredness and your busy mind are the fertile soil from which your renewal will grow. Honor the mud. It is necessary. So, settle into your bed, imperfections and all. Let your mind be a little muddy if it needs to be. Let the night be what it is. In this space of radical acceptance, where nothing needs to be fixed or cleaned, you will find a peace that is deeper than perfection. You will find the peace of what is real, holding you exactly as you are. Clearing the water, do nothing, achieve everything. Imagine for a moment that you are sitting by a small, secluded mountain pond. The water has been disturbed by animals or perhaps by a stone thrown into its depths, causing mud and silt to swirl up from the bottom. The water is cloudy, brown, and opaque. You cannot see the fish, the stones, or the reflection of the sky. If you wanted to clear this water, what would you do? If you plunged your hands in to try and push the mud down, you would only churn it up further. If you tried to scoop the dirty water out, you would disturb the peace of the pond even more. The only way to clear the water is to do absolutely nothing. You must simply sit on the bank and wait. You must trust gravity to do its work, pulling the heavy particles down to the bottom, layer by layer, until clarity returns on its own. This simple image is a profound teaching for our busy, often turbulent minds, especially when we are trying to sleep. We often treat our minds like that muddy pond. When we feel agitated, anxious, or unable to rest, our instinct is to do something about it. We try to force the thoughts to stop. We try to push the anxiety away, or we frantically search for a technique to make us unconscious. But this mental thrashing is exactly like putting your hands in the water. It only keeps the mud swirling. The more we struggle against our own restlessness, the more restless we become. The effort to be calm is, in itself, a form of agitation that prevents the very calm we seek. The Taoist concept of Wu Wei, often translated as non-doing or effortless action, is the secret to clearing the mind. It does not mean passivity or laziness. It means acting in accordance with the natural flow of things. In the context of sleep, it means understanding that you cannot manufacture peace with force. Peace is the natural state that arises when disturbance ceases. Your job is not to create the quiet, but to stop adding to the noise. You simply sit on the bank of your own awareness and watch the mud of your thoughts swirl. You don't judge it, you don't stir it, you just let it be. Trust is an essential component of this practice. You must trust the natural intelligence of your own system. Just as the pond knows how to settle without your help, your body knows how to sleep. It has a biological rhythm, a deep, ancient wisdom that has been functioning since before you were born. When you stop interfering with your worry and your control, this natural intelligence takes over. The heaviness of the body pulls you down into relaxation, just as gravity pulls the silt to the riverbed. The process is automatic if you just get out of the way. As you lie here, notice if you are mentally churning the water. Are you replaying a conversation? Are you planning for tomorrow? Are you worrying about being awake? These are all hands in the pond. Gently, lovingly, pull your hands back. Place them in your lap. Decide to be a witness rather than a manager. Watch the thoughts float by like leaves on the surface, but do not touch them. Let them spin and drift and eventually sink. The less you do, the clearer you become. Gradually, as you practice this non-interference, you will notice moments of clarity appearing, a gap between thoughts, a softening of the breath, a feeling of sinking into the mattress. These are the signs that the silt is settling. The water is becoming transparent again. You start to reflect the vast, quiet sky of the night. You are returning to your original nature, which is pure, still, and deep. Do not be impatient if the water takes time to clear. Some days are muddier than others. That is natural. The pond does not rush the process, and neither should you. Whether it takes 10 minutes or an hour, the outcome is inevitable. Gravity always wins. Stillness always returns. Your only task is to wait with a gentle patience, breathing in and breathing out, knowing that clarity is on its way. There is a great relief in realizing you don't have to fix your mind. You don't have to solve your insomnia. You just have to stop stirring. The universe is on your side. The laws of nature are working for you. Every exhale is a letting go of the mud. Every moment of stillness is a step towards the crystal clear peace of deep sleep. So, surrender the need to control. Surrender the need to figure it out. Be the pond, be the bank, be the waiting. Feel the heavy particles of stress drifting down, 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 settling into the soft earth at the bottom of your being. Above them, your mind becomes cool, clear, and ready to receive the moon and the stars of your dreams. Rest now in the knowledge that doing nothing is the most powerful thing you can do. The water is clearing, the peace is returning. You are exactly where you need to be, doing exactly what you need to do. Letting go. Is that so? The power of equanimity. The Zen master. Hakuin was highly respected in his village for his pure and disciplined life. He lived simply, harming no one, and teaching the Dharma to all who would listen. One day, a beautiful young girl in the village, the daughter of a wealthy food merchant, was found to be pregnant. Her parents were furious and demanded to know who the father was. At first, she refused to speak, but under intense pressure and fear, she finally pointed a finger at Hakuin. The parents, enraged, marched to the temple and confronted the master, screaming accusations and insults at him. Hakuin listened to their anger without a flicker of emotion. He simply replied, "Is that so?" When the baby was born, the family brought the infant to Hakuin and left it with him, telling him he must care for the child since he was the father. Hakuin accepted the baby with the same calm phrase, "Is that so?" He took excellent care of the child, begging for milk and food from his neighbors, enduring the whispers and the scorn of the entire village. He lost his reputation, his students, and his standing. Yet he remained completely undisturbed, nurturing the life that had been placed in his hands with tenderness and grace. A year later, the young girl could no longer bear the guilt. She confessed to her parents that the real father was a young man from the fish market. Her parents were mortified. They rushed back to the temple, bowing low to Hakuin, apologizing profusely for their terrible mistake and begging for his forgiveness. They asked to take the baby back. Hakuin, without a hint of resentment or vindication, simply handed the child back to them and said, "Is that so?" This story is a masterclass in equanimity, the ability to remain balanced and peaceful regardless of external circumstances. Hakuin did not waste energy defending his ego. He did not fight the injustice. He did not cling to his reputation. He simply flowed with the events of life as they presented themselves, meeting praise and blame, gain and loss with the same open, spacious mind. Is that so? Is not a question of indifference. It is a statement of radical acceptance of the present reality. At night, our sleep is often destroyed by our lack of equanimity. We are easily triggered by our own thoughts and by the events of our lives. A worry arises and we react with fear. A noise happens and we react with irritation. A memory surfaces and we react with shame. We are constantly pushing away what we don't like and grasping for what we do like. This constant reactivity keeps the nervous system in a state of high alert, making rest impossible. Imagine if you could apply Hakuin's "Is that so?" to your own nightly experience. If a stressful thought about work comes up, instead of engaging with it or fighting it, you simply say to yourself, "Is that so?" and let it pass. If you notice you are awake when you want to be asleep, instead of panicking, you say, "Is that so?" and continue to rest. You stop feeding the drama. You stop adding fuel to the fire of your own mind. This practice creates a Teflon coating for your consciousness. Nothing sticks. Accusations, worries, fears, they all slide off the smooth surface of your acceptance. You become like the empty sky that allows clouds to pass without being stained by them. You are no longer the victim of your circumstances. You are the spacious witness of them. Hakuin's power came from knowing who he really was. He knew he wasn't the villain the villagers thought he was, nor was he the saint they later claimed he was. He was anchored in a deeper truth that didn't depend on public opinion. Tonight, anchor yourself in your own deep truth. You are a being of peace, worthy of rest, regardless of what your thoughts are telling you. Your worth is not up for debate. By refusing to defend yourself against your own thoughts, you disarm them. A thought has no power if you don't believe it or fight it. It is just energy. When you meet it with, "Is that so?" you neutralize its charge. You create a space of silence around the noise. In that space, the body can finally feel safe enough to let go. So, wrap yourself in the cloak of Hakuin's wisdom tonight. Let the world say what it will. Let the mind say what it will. You remain steady, soft, and undisturbed. Is that so? Is your shield and your lullaby? Whatever arises, accept it, bow to it, and let it go. Return to the simple, undeniable truth of your breath and your rest. The gates of paradise, heaven and hell are here. A fierce samurai warrior, proud and accustomed to power, came to the temple gates one day demanding an audience with the great Zen master Hakuin. The warrior strode in with heavy footsteps, his sword gleaming at his side, and stood before the teacher with a hard, demanding expression on his face. "Monk," he barked in a voice that had commanded armies, "tell me, where are the gates of heaven and the gates of hell? I want to see them with my own eyes. Show me paradise and show me damnation, so I may know how to avoid one and enter the other." His tone was arrogant, as if even the mysteries of the universe owed him an answer. Hakuin looked up at the warrior slowly, his face perfectly calm. Then, without warning, his expression shifted into one of disgust. He spoke with biting contempt. You want to know about heaven and hell? Look at yourself. You are filthy. You smell of blood and ego. Your sword is dull, your armor is rusted, and your soul is uglier than a demon's. You are not worthy to even stand in this temple, let alone ask such questions. Go away. You are wasting my time. The words were sharp, deliberate, and cutting. The master's eyes held nothing but disdain. The samurai's face turned red with rage. How dare this simple monk insult a warrior of his stature? No one spoke to him this way. His hand flew to the hilt of his sword, and in a flash of fury, he drew the blade high above his head, ready to strike Hakuin down in a single, violent blow. His entire body shook with the heat of his anger, and his vision narrowed to a single point of vengeance. In that moment, he was a man consumed, a being of pure, destructive wrath. But just as the sword reached its peak, Hakuin looked at him with perfect serenity and said softly, "There, that is the gate of hell." The samurai froze. The truth of those words struck him harder than any blade. He suddenly saw himself clearly, a slave to his own anger, teetering on the edge of violence, about to destroy an innocent man because of wounded pride. He saw the inferno he had created inside his own heart. Trembling, he lowered his sword and fell to his knees, tears streaming down his face. He was overcome with shame, awe, and gratitude. Hakuin smiled gently, a smile of infinite compassion, and whispered, "And that, my friend, is the gate of heaven." In an instant, the warrior understood the entire teaching. Heaven and hell are not distant places you go to after death. They are states of mind, available in every moment. Hell is the fire of anger, hatred, greed, and ignorance. Heaven is the peace of compassion, clarity, love, and understanding. The gates are always open, and you are always choosing which one to walk through. This story has profound implications for our nightly rest. We often lie in bed carrying the hell of our own mental creation. We replay arguments, and the anger burns inside us. We worry about money, and the fear churns in our stomach. We think about past failures, and the shame weighs on our chest. We have built an internal inferno with our own thoughts, and we wonder why we cannot sleep. The flames are not outside, they are within. We are standing at the gate of hell by our own choice. But just as the samurai discovered, we also hold the key to heaven. The moment we recognize our suffering and choose to soften, to forgive, to let go, we step through a different gate. Heaven is the cool, quiet relief of releasing the grip on our grievances. It is the spaciousness of a mind that is no longer at war with itself. It is the sensation of breathing deeply and saying, "I choose peace." This choice is always available in any moment, including this one. Tonight, become aware of which gate you are standing at. Are you replaying a scene of injustice, stoking the coals of resentment? That is hell. Are you worrying obsessively about a future that hasn't happened, creating a storm of anxiety? That is hell. Are you punishing yourself for not being enough, feeding the demon of shame? That is hell. You can step away from those gates. You can turn your back on the fire. You can choose to walk toward the cool, still waters of acceptance and rest. Visualize yourself as that samurai, lowering your weapon. Feel the relief as the tension drains from your muscles. You do not have to fight anymore. You do not have to defend or attack. You can kneel in humility before the present moment and say, "I surrender." In that surrender, the gate of heaven swings open. You are welcomed into a space of warmth, safety, and unconditional love. You are home. Rest now in the heaven of this moment. Let the hell of the mind fade into the distance behind you. You have crossed the threshold. You are safe. You are free. The only fire that remains is the gentle warmth of your own breath, lighting the way to the deepest, most peaceful sleep. Just sitting, you are already whole. In the Zen tradition, there is a practice called shikantaza, which literally translates to just sitting. It is not sitting to achieve enlightenment. It is not sitting to become calm. It is not sitting to gain insight or to fix yourself. It is simply sitting for the sake of sitting, with no goal, no agenda, and no expectation of result. The great master Dogen Zenji taught that shikantaza is not a means to an end. It is the end itself. The practice is the enlightenment. The sitting is the Buddha. There is nothing to add, nothing to attain, and nothing to become. You are already complete. This teaching is radically countercultural in a world that constantly tells us we are not enough. We are taught that we must always be doing, achieving, improving, and striving. We are told that our value is measured by our productivity and our accomplishments. This mindset infiltrates even our relationship with sleep. We approach rest as another task on the to-do list. I must sleep so I can perform well tomorrow. Sleep becomes instrumental, a means to another end, rather than an intrinsic good. But shikantaza invites us to a different way of being. It asks us to recognize that our value is not dependent on what we produce or achieve. You are valuable simply because you exist. You are worthy of rest not because you earned it, but because you are a living being. There is a profound dignity in just being alive, in just breathing, in just sitting, or in this case, in just lying down. When you lie in bed tonight, practice shikantaza in your own way. Just lie, not to fall asleep quickly, not to prove you are a good sleeper, not to recover for tomorrow's challenges. Just lie here because lying is what you are doing right now. Be present with the sensation of the bed against your back. Be present with the rise and fall of your chest. Be present with the weight of your limbs. This is enough. You are enough. There is a beautiful freedom in letting go of all goals. When you release the idea that you should be asleep by now, the pressure dissolves. When you stop measuring your success by the speed of your slumber, you can finally relax. You are no longer performing. You are no longer trying. You are simply being. And in that state of simple being, paradoxically, sleep often comes naturally. Dogen also taught that practice and enlightenment are not two separate things. You do not practice in order to become enlightened later. The practice itself is the enlightenment. In the same way, rest is not separate from the goal of rest. You do not lie in bed in order to sleep. You lie in bed as rest. The lying down is the rest. Every breath you take here is already healing. Every moment of stillness is already restorative. You are not waiting for something to happen. It is already happening. Imagine the relief of this perspective. You are not broken and needing to be fixed. You are not failing at sleep. You are right now, in this very moment, complete. Your body is doing exactly what it needs to do. Your breath is breathing you. Your heart is beating you. The intelligence of life is flowing through every cell. You are a miracle, just as you are, awake or asleep. This is not about giving up or being passive. It is about recognizing the difference between striving and being. Striving exhausts. Being restores. Tonight, choose being. Let yourself be held by the bed, by the darkness, by the vast embrace of the night. You do not need to do anything to deserve this. You already deserve it by the simple fact of your existence. Settle into your body like a Buddha on a cushion. Not tense, not reaching, just resting in your own presence. Feel the weight of your bones. Feel the softness of your muscles. Feel the quiet hum of life within you. This is shikantaza. This is just lying, and it is more than enough. You are already whole. You are already home. There is nowhere else to go and nothing else to do. Rest in the completeness of this moment and let sleep come as a gentle visitor, welcomed but not demanded. You are free. The dream of the butterfly. Life is soft and fluid. The ancient Taoist sage Chuang Tzu once fell deeply asleep in a lush garden under the warm glow of the afternoon sun. As his breathing slowed and his mind drifted away from the human world, he entered a vivid and beautiful dream, where he was no longer a man, but a butterfly. He fluttered happily from flower to flower, feeling the gentle wind under his delicate wings and the sweet warmth of the sun on his back. In this dream state, he had absolutely no memory of being a philosopher named Chuang Tzu with responsibilities and questions. He was entirely and joyfully a butterfly, living purely in the moment, guided only by instinct and the breeze. He felt light, free, and completely unburdened by the heavy concerns of human existence, floating in a world of color and scent. Suddenly, he woke up with a start, the transition jarring him back into his physical form. He found himself lying on the grass, heavy, solid, and bound once again to the earth as Chuang Tzu. He looked at his hands, his robes, and the garden around him, trying to reconcile the two realities he had just experienced. A profound confusion and wonder settled over him as he pondered the nature of his identity. He asked himself a question that would echo through centuries. Am I a man who just dreamt he was a butterfly? Or am I a butterfly who is now dreaming he is a man? The rigid boundaries between waking and sleeping, between reality and illusion, had dissolved in his mind. He realized that all states of existence are fluid and temporary transformations of the same universal energy. This famous story serves as a beautiful invitation for us to soften our rigid grip on what we call reality, especially when we are struggling to rest. We often lie in bed tense and anxious because we take our waking life and its problems so incredibly seriously. We believe our deadlines, our conflicts, and our identities are solid, immovable mountains that we must carry on our shoulders. We convince ourselves that the role we play during the day, the stressed worker, the worried parent, or the insomniac, is the absolute and final truth of who we are. But Chuang Tzu whispers to us across time that this real life might be just as dreamlike and transient as the butterfly's flight among the flowers. When we prepare for sleep, we are essentially entering the realm of the butterfly, leaving the heavy earthbound world behind. We are shedding the heavy cocoon of our human identity and all the labels that come with it. The transition into sleep is not a loss of consciousness, but a beautiful transformation of consciousness into something vast and free. It is a shifting of gears from the dense material world of logic to the fluid, imaginative world of dreams where anything is possible. If we can see our waking life as just a dream or a temporary play, its power to hurt us diminishes significantly. The deadline, the argument, the bill, they become less substantial, more like shadows passing on a wall, losing their grip on our nervous system. Imagine right now that your bed is a safe, warm cocoon where this transformation can take place. You are tucked inside, wrapped in layers of silence and comfort, protected from the outside world. You are preparing to transform, to leave the hard shell of the day behind. You don't need to hold on to the man or the woman you were today. That role is finished for now. You are free to become something lighter, something that doesn't need to carry burdens. Allow the boundaries of your physical body to soften and blur. Feel yourself becoming less solid, more like air, more like light, ready to drift on the currents of the night. This perspective helps us release the deep-seated fear of letting go that often causes insomnia. Many people are afraid to sleep because they fear losing control over their reality or their safety. But if you realize that you are always changing, always transforming, from man to butterfly and back again, you see that there is no static control to lose. There is only the eternal flow of life, moving through different forms and experiences. Sleep is just another beautiful, natural form of being alive, a different way of experiencing the miracle of existence. The question, am I a man or a butterfly, is not a puzzle that demands a logical answer, but a koan designed to break the mind's rigidity. It suggests that the universe is mysterious, playful, and far vaster than our small definitions. It suggests that you are more than your physical body, your history, or your daily checklist. You are the pure awareness that experiences it all, the waking, the dreaming, the flying, and the walking. And that awareness never sleeps. It just changes the channel to a new and beautiful frequency. So tonight, I invite you to play with this idea as you lie in the dark. What if the day you just lived was actually the dream and this sleep is the awakening? What if the sleep you are about to enter is the true reality, a return to your natural state of freedom? What if you are actually a being of light, just resting in a human body for a little while to experience the world? Let these thoughts loosen the tight knots in your mind. Let the heaviness of being you dissolve into the lightness of being everything, floating in the infinite space of the night. Drift now on the delicate wings of the butterfly, leaving the ground far below. Flit from the flower of this breath to the flower of the next breath, tasting the nectar of relaxation. There is no destination you need to reach, no map you need to follow. There is no work to be done here in this garden. There is only the night, vast, fragrant, and welcoming. You are free to fly into the darkness, carried by the gentle wind of peace that blows through the universe. Sleep is the ultimate act of trust in this beautiful transformation of the self. You close your eyes as one thing and you wake up as another, refreshed and renewed. You surrender the known world for the unknown mystery of rest. And in that surrender, you find the deepest, most restorative peace available to a human being. You are Chuang Tzu. You are the butterfly. You are the dreamer and the dream, safe in the arms of the great mystery. Sleep well. Conclusion. You have arrived at peace. We have journeyed together tonight through a landscape of ancient stories and timeless wisdom. We have met monks and warriors, crossed rivers and climbed mountains, held empty cups and walked through open gates. We have walked the path of gentle deconstruction, taking apart the illusions that keep our minds busy and our bodies tense. We have seen that the heavy load of the past can be set down, that the future is just a maybe, and that the present moment is the only place where life actually happens. Now, at the end of this path, there is nothing left to learn, nothing left to understand, and nothing left to do. There is only you here, breathing in the quiet dark, fully arrived. Feel the profound truth and simplicity of this exact moment in time. You are completely safe. You are fully supported by the world around you. The bed beneath you is solid and reliable, holding you up so you don't have to hold yourself up anymore. The blanket covers you like a shield of warmth and protection. The air in the room is peaceful and still. Everything is exactly as it needs to be right now. You have arrived at the destination, which is simply here, in this body, in this deep and healing rest. Let us do one final, gentle scan of the body, not to fix anything, but to say goodnight to the vessel that carries you through life. Bring your warm awareness to your feet, feeling them heavy and relaxed. Say to them, "Thank you for carrying me. Rest now." Move your attention up to your legs, your hips, and your stomach. Feel the gentle, rhythmic rise and fall of your breath. Say to your core, "You are safe." Soften now. Move to your hands, your arms, and your shoulders. Let them drop completely into the mattress. The work is done. Let go. Finally, bring your attention to your face, your jaw, and your eyes. Soften. Peace. You have emptied your cup of all the day's noise and opinions. You have left the raft of your defenses on the shore of the waking world. You have accepted the mud on the road as part of the journey. You have become the water, the sky, and the butterfly. All the roles you play during the day, the worker, the parent, the thinker, have been deactivated and set aside. What remains is pure, silent presence. This presence is who you truly are beneath the noise of the world. It is a presence that is calm, clear, and infinitely rested. Remember, as you drift deeper, that sleep is not an achievement you have to earn. It is a return to your natural state. You are returning to the source of your own being, the silence from which you came. There is no failure here, no grade to be achieved. Even if you simply lie in this peace without losing consciousness immediately, you are resting deeply. You are healing your body and mind. You are engaged in the most profound spiritual practice of all, the practice of surrender and trust. If your mind wanders again, do not be harsh with it. Smile at it gently and remember the Master's whisper. Is that so? Treat your thoughts like distant birds flying across a vast twilight sky. They are there, but they are far away, small specks that leave no trace on the horizon. Your attention is on the vast, dark sky itself, not the birds. Rest in that vastness. It is big enough to hold everything, big enough to dissolve every worry into peace. As we close this circle of stories and silence, know that this sanctuary is always here for you, This peace doesn't disappear when the video ends. It lives inside you, accessible at any moment. You can return to this feeling of nothing to do whenever you wish, just by closing your eyes and breathing. You have the keys to your own rest now. The stories are yours. The peace is yours. The night is yours. If this journey has brought you comfort, and if you wish to return to this digital temple, please consider subscribing to keep this space close to you. We will always be here, creating a refuge for your mind, waiting to walk you home to yourself. But for now, no more words are needed. No more screens to watch. No more listening to be done. The time for engagement has passed. There is only the sound of your own breath, growing slower, deeper, and more rhythmic. There is only the velvet weight of sleep, pulling you gently down into the earth. You are safe. You are loved. You are free. The day is complete. The night has begun. Good night. May your rest be deep and undisturbed. May your dreams be light and healing. May you wake refreshed and renewed. The journey is over. The rest begins. Sleep, sleep, sleep.